Other part of this here, solutions for problems are showing up from spirit. Things may take care of themselves, or you will see the optimal route to take care of a situation. So you might see the choices and things you need to do to take care of something, which can also be a blessing. You're going to find yourself more healed from the past than you realize, or receiving realizations that help you move forward and that help you to live a better life. You do not always have to go through thing after thing after thing. As you receive the learnings from the past, from this digestion, things will get better for you. Hey, this is Channeled Messages on September 2024. I'm Brandon. So I've got channel messages that came through ahead of time from my spirit guides and angels and source. I'll be reading through those for you. And I'll also be adding in and flowing with any additional channeled information that comes through from my spirit guides, angels, and source for you, as well as, I'll be working with my intuition and all that as well. So let's start and get to this. The first thing that came through for you ahead of time for September 2024, they might redirect me to a different message here. We'll just start with this. They showed me a gorilla, and the message is the weight is coming off. So that is a really positive message you may wish to rejoice about. The message is this will be a lighter month and a space to breathe for many. Difficulties may pause or disappear altogether. The universe has surprises in store that are positive. So there is a lot of weight lifting off. There are a lot of heavier circumstances leaving, and they're showing it almost like taking off a weight suit, or like a suit that adds a lot of like weight to it. I know there are like suits in movies that actors will wear to, make them look like they have a different body type than they normally do, and it can add a lot of weight to them. So maybe you felt a bit compressed lately, at least some of you, or you feel like things have been a bit more restricted, and a lot of that is about to lift, at least over the next couple months. But this one was pretty specific, like this month is going to be a lighter month. So the other thing that's coming through is like try not to fight your circumstances too much right now. I would be asking the question, like, how can I shift this with ease and grace? Or universe, what will it take for this situation to shift with ease and grace? There's usually a better way than fighting everything to shift things for yourself. If you think about it in terms of like a pattern you may be experiencing for yourself, or a habit you're looking to shift, I mean, you could take the like judgmental approach, like judging yourself for it and trying to call yourself wrong for it and hating yourself for it and like trying to fight the pattern. Or usually it works a lot better if you're in allowance of it. You're not judging yourself for it. You're just like, okay, that's there. We're acknowledging this. We're aware of this. And then gently making the changes that need to occur for it to shift, or showing up every day to rearrange the pattern in the ways that work for you and in the ways that you can. So usually if you're like you're fighting yourself and you're beating yourself up, it doesn't shift quite as easily or readily as if you're in allowance of it, you're aware of it, and then taking the appropriate actions from there if need be. So try not to fight yourself or even like other people. For some reason, like this fight energy thing is coming up here. It's like it might even be detrimental to your growth and progress at this time if that's the stance you're taking, instead of what would be for the highest good here. How can I optimally approach this right now to shift this or to move out of this, etc. And sometimes like fighting, when you're in fight with someone or something, or in conflict, it can kind of like lock the energies and make things more uncomfortable than they need to be. Not that we need to judge like discomfort, because sometimes in a completely different sense, discomfort can be part of a big change we're making that's actually bringing about the life of our dreams, for example, or moving towards the direction we'd like to be. That's not exactly what I'm talking about. It's more like you don't actually need to be in this locked fight energy with like this person over here or this situation in your life, or, like you can kind of let things flow and shift, I guess, instead of locking it down like that. So I would mind your approach to things, I guess, for some reason, as part of this message, and try to, the way I'm hearing it is avoid fight energy, or try to find a different way. Number 2 here that came through ahead of time, there is a dragonfly showing up as well. There's also, sometimes they show me Pokemon for these, and I know some people love that, and some people are like, what the heck? It doesn't really matter to me. But they're showing like a dragonfly-like Pokemon here, and it's actually evolving. So let me see what's up with this message for you here. So the cool message for you guys is that you have a new form coming in this September through October. For those, some of you, it might be through the rest of the year, actually, if it's a bit bigger or you're just newer in the process, or you're just finding this at a time where things are moving a bit slowly, more slowly for you. Mm, but there's this new version of you coming in. It's like the 2.0, 3.0 version of you in a positive way. So you're actually getting a big upgrade for many of you this month. And so is your path as a result. So a lot of things upgrading in you and around you, which is why this month might be a rest month for some or a quieter month for some. Not all of you. That's just for the crowd that's going to be hit pretty hard by this. We're going to get to some other messages that talk about this specific thing too. Because I was getting a message about a lot of upgrades or downloads coming in this month, and taking plenty of time to be is going to be really helpful. But to wrap the dragonfly and message up here for you guys, this is going to be a rapid shift. Not all of you see it coming, so just handle it with grace and receive it when it shows up, and really trust the direction it leads to. Because sometimes you're just built for something completely different than where you're at right now, and you think you just need to stay the course no matter what and control it and confine it to this one specific path. And that could be music for some people, and they think they have to be this specific type of singer, like a country singer, for example, is the one that keeps coming to me to be said, so I'll just say it. Or some people think that they have to be an EDM DJ, and that's the only way to be successful and famous and have their dreams come true and meet the partner of their dreams and things like that. And spirit might just be like, start a potato farm, but somehow that makes your dreams come true. And that's a bit of a sillier example. And it doesn't have to literally be that. Like maybe it's a combination of this and this. Or maybe it's like you think you're supposed to do EDM and then you're doing metal music or something. So try not to be super constricting about the plan spirit has for you, and keep a bit of an open mind to like, what's for the highest good, what's best, what would actually check all the boxes for my dreams, even if it's different than I expect or something like that. Because it's probably going to be better than the ways, like if you're constricting things, that you'd be constricting things too. Okay. There's actually a bit more with this message here, and they're showing me the potato farm now, but it's about growing. Like the plants are growing, the field's growing. There's like a rainbow. There's actually like a digital painting, I guess you could say, that I've made that it's reminding me of. So we'll see if they bring that in. So let me see what the message is here. The message is very simple. It's just that change is going to lead to growth and to a lot of the things you've been calling in. So don't resist the change that very well may be bringing you to the path you've been asking spirit for, or even this, I guess, the things you've been asking spirit for. The paint, the art it was reminding me of, it's the art for Ifil, which is a Valeuka, which is an energy healing symbol I channeled through. That's on my art store. And Ifil stands for divine protection and life enhancement. They're getting to the life enhancement aspect of it. So what's up with that here? For you guys right now, changes are meant to enhance your life. It's not going to be taking away quite as much as you think, even if you're really attached to an outcome or a specific ways you want things to be. Again, let go of it. There's probably better if that hasn't been working out or gets shifted somehow. So number 2 here, that came through ahead of time, they showed me Godzilla, and you'll like this one. Big problems disappearing over the next few months. So sometimes people legitimately have huge problems, though for many of you guys, they are disappearing. Other times, people make mountains out of molehills. And so molehills are going to be shown to be what they are for this crowd. So if any of you have been making mountains out of molehills, you're going to be shown like, hey, this thing that you thought was a mountain is actually just a molehill. And that could be about challenges. It could be about things you think are challenging or going to be challenging that actually won't be if you actually pursued them. So you're going to be shown the truth about things, and that's going to help your perspective and path, because you won't be avoiding things you don't need to avoid because you've been thinking they'll be difficult. So one way or another, it's kind of like big problems are disappearing, and or you're being shown that things you thought were problems aren't problems, or things you thought were going to be problems won't be problems, and things like that. Other part of this here, solutions for problems are showing up from spirit. Things may take care of themselves, or you will see the optimal route to take care of a situation. So you might see the choices and things you need to do to take care of something, which can also be a blessing. And then, of course, you just take those actions at the right time, and yeah, don't worry about it. And if you're divinely guided, you'll probably be divinely guided through that or intuitively led through that. So the other thing they said is in Godzilla movies, Godzilla always returns to the sea at some point. So the message is you aren't stuck with your problems for whatever reason. That's what they're saying for this for you guys. Um, Another message with this one that's kind of a side message is that there is going to be less destruction this month, and all that is in a way where it is positive for you. So there won't be things like blowing up in your face quite as much, or yeah, things like that. Like you won't be like dealing with ultimate destruction, like maybe some of you have been, this year. Not all of you have been probably, but just. So number 3, they show me jellyfish, and they also show me like the stingers of the jellyfish. So this one, the message is it's time to really take stock of your life. You know, so where are things, or where is anything that's stinging you? Like if you notice those things for yourself this month, ask yourself, is it worth it? Like is the situation you're going through where you have to deal with that worth it? Are the people around you that sting you metaphorically, are they worth having in your life if you keep getting stung? So it's like, do you need to put up with those things that are stinging you? You might find that a simple conversation is all that's needed to set a boundary regarding that. You may also find you've been putting up with things out of a pattern or habit that you no longer need to put up with. It could even be with yourself. Maybe you have a story, for example, that you love to stay up really late, and then you're always waking up tired for work or for whatever reason. However, maybe if you really examined it, you'd be like, wait a second, that's kind of been a pattern or a habit. And now that I've tried not staying up late, I've found that I actually enjoy getting up early. It actually doesn't bother me to not stay up late. That was just a story I had from childhood or from whatever, when it seemed really cool to stay up late. So that's just an example. It might not apply to all of you, but there might be habits that are stinging you that you don't need anymore for at least some of this crowd. So keep that in mind. Like, do you need to keep those things around? Are they really as necessary as they seemed? Like, if you really examine it, what shifts could you make to not get stung? The other thing is look at the things that are bothering you in your life and ask, can this be changed? Many of you are going to find that you can change them, or like a new way has opened up that allows you to change it, or maybe you have a new tool that allows you to approach it differently and finally overcome an obstacle or hurdle. So, the last part of this message, which I referenced a little bit earlier, gave a heads up about earlier, take plenty of time just to be this month. And usually, when Jellyfish shows up for me for channeled intuitive readings like this, Jellyfish does often talk about like just being, because they just kind of jellyfish their way through life. You know what I'm saying. Anyways, take plenty of time to be this month. An hour a week minimum is the recommendation, though if you can do more, that would be great. Some of you could probably do as much as an hour a day. Like you could just sit there with coffee. It could be meditation. It could be listening to an audiobook that calms you or something like that. As long as you're taking time to really have space for yourself and it could involve rest as well. That's glorious. So there are many downloads happening this month. And if you take time to assimilate, digest, and receive and integrate, even by taking time just to be, you're going to be doing a lot better. It doesn't mean don't be busy. It just means, can you take space between the busy periods and carve space and time for yourself? Taking time to be is a superpower this month. So that's a key line they'd like me to repeat. Taking time just to be is a superpower this month. Just to really highlight it and really get it into your mind to consider it this month. It's really going to help with the downloads coming in, with the upgrades that are happening, with the realizations for your path. It might even help you with shifting problems somehow if you get a realization or a message from spirit. So just keep that in mind. Like taking time to be could be really important this month here. They'd like to talk more about rest as well, because it was mentioned earlier. You don't have to overdo it. might be put into your awareness that you might need to take a week this month for potentially a good amount of you, or maybe you need to take an extra day, a certain week out of the month, or every week out of the month, or something. And it's not always fun when it happens when that's not, your pattern, or it's not how you're used to operating, or you think you like to get a lot of things done, or maybe you do like to get a lot of things done, or you think you have to get a lot of things done. But sometimes when we check in, there's not as much that we need to do as we think. There might be some key things that if we intuitively check in, it's like, yes, this is where your attention's required. This is where your, energy is required. But it's not as much as like you think you have to do. So for those of you who know how to do that, that could be an idea like, okay, what do I actually need to focus on today that's going to move the needle? And is it this busy list of 20 things, or is it just this one small tweak on my website or something today? So keep that in mind. I know for some of you, if you have like a job, sometimes you kind of have a set, like, 9 to 5 or something that you're working. That can be a little bit different, but around that, maybe the things around that are the things you ask about, as far as like, where does your focus actually need to be? Like, how much would actually be optimal for you to get done, and where is that, for you? So that's it. Just rest when you feel called to. Honestly, they're showing me a dog as an additional message. I don't have this one ahead of time right now, and it's about loyalty. And this dog is also wearing like a Superman cape or something like that. I think there is like a super dog in the comics. If you're the super dog in the comments, please give me a woof down below and a paw emoji. I'm just kidding. Anyways, let me see what's going on with the dog here. It's about loyalty to yourself and your path, and to source or God or the universe, however you phrase it, your spirit team even. And sometimes it's tempting to give your loyalty to a person or an organization for some reason over like God or source. But that's not really where the loyalty is owed. And sometimes that person or organization spins a story, or maybe even a narcissistic tale, that you're supposed to be loyal to them because of XYZ. But it's really just a limitation on you. And it's not actually true. It's just a story, or just the point of view they want you to take so that they can control you or have a bit more leverage in the situation, kind of like how some people will leverage guilt in others to get them to do what they'd like them to do. Like, it's about control. It's never usually about like, oh, I'm making you feel guilty because I care about you. Like, that's a lie. Like, that's pretty warped if you think about it. So, where is this going here? How can you stay loyal to you and to source and to your soul and to what's like really like what you're really meant for, what your mission is, maybe even in a way that honors yourself fully, and stop buying into the false stories of, oh, you need to be loyal to this organization or this individual, because those things will pull you off your path. Source will never really do that, if you're following Source's divine guidance. So for yourself, that's kind of the message, I guess. And I think something came through in one of the channel advice on the week ahead videos the past couple weeks about like being loyal to yourself over like other people. And that's just kind of a smart choice right now is what I'm getting at. That doesn't mean we like go be mean to everyone because we're trying to prove our loyalty to ourselves or anything like that. It's just ultimately with your choices. Are you working with Source and doing what's best for you and what's for the highest good according to what Source says? Or are you trying to like appease this person or group over here to remain in favor with them for whatever reason? Especially if you feel like that's emotionally manipulative on the other person's end, I would question that. So number 4 here, which came through ahead of time, they showed me digestion. And so speaking of digestion, they talked about digesting the downloads. A lot of the past situations in your life are being digested by you. You're going to find yourself more healed from the past than you realize, or receiving realizations that help you move forward and that help you to live a better life. You do not always have to go through thing after thing after thing. As you receive the learnings from the past, from this digestion, things will get better for you. And maybe even as you make different choices after you have the realizations or the learnings from the past percolate a bit more and you disseminate it into wisdom. Is that the best way to say it? Or transmute it into wisdom, whatever the best word for that is. You probably know what I mean. Mm, so I think that's just kind of like a maybe an it is what it is message where it's like, yep, this is happening. Like you've digested a lot of past events, or you are, and things are about to kind of hit a culmination point for many of you, or a boiling point where maybe you're no longer beholden to the past in the same ways, or those past patterns, or those past wounds, and you're ready to, if you haven't already done this, transform it into wisdom and move forward in a different way to a better life would probably be your intention, right? So, this is good because it also means anything that would be like a chain to the past is leaving, or something that like holds you back, or anything that like keeps you from moving forward in the ways you'd like to, that's from the past. So there's a lot of restriction in that way, leaving this collective that's showing up for this video. So that's great too. Number 5 here, they showed me a chimpanzee and also gave me the phrase monkey king. So what are you the champion of? What do you stand for? Do you have outdated beliefs that you stand for something that you actually don't anymore? And the examples they gave me are interesting. However, the first one is like, do you have a belief that you stand for being like a bad boy or something like that? Or uh, I almost want to say rebel, but I don't feel like, I think rebel can be a positive thing for us. So that's kind of a different spin. But anyways, do you stand for being like a bad boy or something, but you are actually a kind person now? Or do you have a belief that you suck, but you're actually really great if you look at it in truth? Or do you have the belief that like you're a rock in an organization, or you're the person who always holds it down for your work or whatever, but that no longer needs to be your identity? Like it doesn't need to be a thing that ties you down or something like that. So another part of this that's important is there is a new you birthing, and the collective needs new things, people and new roles, etc. So you stand for something different than you used to. Check in with that. Check with spirit on that. You are being shaped into something new, and the world needs that new. So try not to cling to the old you, the old patterns, the old organizations, people, even, or how they viewed you, or their projections on you, or trying to stay in their favor, or appeasing them, or anything like that. There's a new you, there's a new path, there are new things for you as you step into all this. And this is all meant to be positive, I'm hearing. Like, it, for the world, for your perspective, for the highest good. So you're kind of becoming the champion of something else, and it's an upgrade from whatever you stood for before. And maybe kind of an interesting example. Maybe there are people out there who stand for laziness in some way, or they um, put a flag in the ground for serving themselves. Which there's a lot we could say about that to get a better perspective about all that. Um, the other question is, what do you feel called to stand for? What do you feel called to be a champion for authentically? If you check it intuitively, like what do you get? And that could be a good direction for you to move in if you feel stuck right now, for any of you who feel stuck right now. Number 6 here. So I hope all that made sense. Number 6, they just showed me the phrase fish out of water. They showed me Pisces for some reason, if that's a sign for you. And the message is, if you find yourself like a fish out of water because you have transformed, or are transforming, do not worry. The right circumstances for you are being gravitated towards you. Spirit isn't going to leave you high and dry. Trust that your path is evolving to suit the new you. So if you were in a job and you're like, this is great, and then you evolved, transformed, became a new person, and all of a sudden this job feels very constricting, it doesn't feel like it has space for the new you, and you feel like you're being suffocated, there is something new coming in that fits how you've transformed. And sometimes that's how we can transform our lives, by the way, is transforming ourselves into who we're meant to be, into moving in a direction where we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, where we're raising our frequency that way. And then we start to magnetize the new circumstances to that new us that has been built, or that we have been transformed into, etc. So this is actually, again, creating like a new life for you if you feel like you're resonating strongly with this particular message about like feeling like a fish out of water because you've transformed for some reason. So know that the right paths are coming for you regarding this. Like you're not going to be left high and dry. Things are evolving in your favor regarding this. It's funny because they're also showing the fish out of water, but it's like the fish way back when that evolved like feet, and it was like kind of still a fish, but kind of still walking, out of a pond. And The other thing is like there is more evolution coming for you, so I wouldn't totally hold your breath on all this. And where are we going with this one? Like you may not get to a place, at least around this time period, where you get to a new thing and it's like that forever, for example, or a new circumstance. Like you may just keep evolving. So you may wish to get comfortable with the journey and with transformation and bringing in ease and grace into all that and to the transformation for you, for your circumstances. And you can get to a good place where you have ease and grace with all that for sure. And you can get to a place where things are just better, with all this, and maybe they just kind of keep getting better from there for most of you. So don't let that limit you and be a message where you think, oh, that means things are going to have to suck every 2 years or every time I transform or anything like that. Cause it doesn't have to be like that. It's more just like you might not want to think things are just going to get static at some point, if you know what I'm saying. Things might just keep evolving. So keep that in mind. The other thing about that message is it could be seen as a positive message because you're not stuck in things, as we were just talking about. So let's move on to number 7 here. They show me dragon spirit animal. This one's a very interesting message. It's about a changing of the guards, spirit animal wise and spirit guide wise for some of you. So some of you are getting changes in your spirit team or spirit guides right now because you're evolving into a new person and hitting a part in your life where you need to take a new path. Receive this with grace. It will always lead to a better place when these changes happen. This is a more FYI than a you need to freak out about this, by the way. You may notice different spirit animals and signs regarding those spirit animals than usual. Or you may notice, you may notice a different flavor of energy with your spirit team, such as when you channel or when you talk to them or when you see signs from them. You might get like new spirit guides introducing themselves to you or anything of the sort in a way. So trust that this will suit the new you and it's totally for the highest good. It's totally divinely guided. Totally, the words I'm hearing are ordained by spirit. So, I guess is it the TLDR version? New spirit animals are coming in for you, and your spirit guide team may be changing for the better for you to suit the new you and new path. And there was, again, like an all caps line. Things are not always meant to stay the same. So for those of you who are comfortable and you don't want things to change, well, maybe check in and be like, oh, where would this change be leading? And if it feels a lot better energetically, or you get it'd be really positive in some way intuitively, maybe it's something to actually receive and maneuver towards, and maybe ask again for ease and grace with maneuvering towards it. That's just kind of what I'm hearing right now with all that. So, and these like messages about spirit guides changing are always just so interesting, like the ways it happens, the ways things kind of transpire. It's definitely not a bad thing at all. I'm also really wondering like what kind of spirit animals are going to be showing up for different ones of you. Maybe it happened right before this video or like a week before or sometime today, or it's going to happen sometime in the next month here or two, where you're noticing different spirit animals showing up and different messages than usual, like from your spirit guide team, or just showing up in a different way, or just showing up with a new flavor. And I'm really wondering what's going to happen for you guys with this one a little bit. So that's it. There might be one last message or a couple more messages before we kind of close it out here. They're showing me like a suit of armor. It's red. It looks like something out of like The Legend of Zelda, honestly. So let me see what's up with this one here. So they're showing this like suit of armor. It has this big like two-handed sword and it's like slashing at you, but it like doesn't harm you at all. It's just like kind of phases through you. And then this like suit of armor is kind of confused. There's like a question mark above its head here. So here's a message. If you feel like you have enemies, they can't really harm you per se. I know there are stories flying around out there that there's like spiritual warfare and we need to be afraid and all that. For me, the message I've always gotten historically when I've checked in, like, oh, is spiritual warfare like true? Is that a thing that exists? I always get no. So I find that very fascinating that there are people who are very attached to that belief that that's the way things work for whatever reason. I always get no. So what else could be true, is something I'd put out there. Like what is actually true is a question I'd put out there if you're wondering about this. But even if you feel like you have physical enemies or this enemy that's coming to mind is like a person, they can't get to you the way that you think they can. They can't harm you the way that you think they can, maybe even in like your life or in like sneaky things they might be doing. So don't worry too much. Sure, keep your wits about you. Sure, stay aware of what's going on, in your life, but you're divinely protected regarding that. And you're being moved away from enemies, frenemies, people who wish you ill. You're kind of being kept in a safe, they're showing it as a quarantine, and not in like, I feel like that gives the wrong idea, because it's not like you have a disease and you're being kept away to protect other people. Probably it's more like you're being maybe kept some of you at least are being kept isolated from things that are bringing you down, or that would be too much of a bummer for you, or that would maybe be harmful to you. So if you feel a little bit isolated, which won't be all of you, keep in mind like it might be for your highest good, it might be divine protection, and at the right time you'll be led to the right path and the right people who won't be like that, for you. And sometimes as we're evolving out of old areas of our life and out of old versions of ourselves, we do leave a lot of people in our wake who might not have been good for us or aren't great for us as far as who we're becoming and where we're going. So it's really for the highest good that all that transformation is happening. Maybe even any like isolation is happening right now. It doesn't mean don't call in new friends. That will be like an upgraded thing. That's like it's unconditionally loving. It's not karmic, if you'll use that word. Um, it's I would be patient. I would just be aware of that right now for whatever reason. All that is coming through here. So I wouldn't worry too much about enemies. You're safe. So they're telling me to close this down. I hope this helped resonate to whatever was for your highest good. I hope September goes well for you. If you'd ever like to go further with my work, you can absolutely check out my website in the description. I have one-on-one channeled intuitive readings. I now do one-on-one channeled and intuitive mentoring. So if you have specific targets you're looking to hit, if you're looking to grow your gifts and you'd like some private coaching with that, or you feel called to that, and it's like a focus session based on transforming the things you'd like to transform, maneuvering things in the directions you'd like them to go in for you, etc. I also have a membership called the Let's Go Higher membership, and I actually do a deep dive on the month ahead there as well. And it's specifically geared towards the members in the membership. So it can be a bit more focused for that group. So if you feel called to go further into messages on September, channel messages on September, you can join there for more. And there's a lot more channel content you get out of that: full channel mode sessions, channel guided meditations, live Q and channeled A's where people submit questions and I channel answers for them. And those are all perpetually replayable. So you have a lot of value just waiting for you if you feel called to join, if that feels like a good fit for you when you feel into it, or check in on it intuitively, or check it out. Okay. If you'd like more free content from me, I also have the Channeling Source podcast. I have a new episode that comes out every other week right now. And there's a bit of a mix right now. There are episodes where I just kind of go through points that I'm divinely guided to go through. There are messages that I'm in full channel mode and someone's interviewing my spirit guides through me while I'm channeling them. So if that calls to you, you can check that out. There should be a link in the description for that as well. So you have a good month, and I'll see you in the future.